الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters, welcome to our program. Today we will carry on the success in life, but in a way of religiousness or religiosity. Of course, talking about religiousness, it is the way how to manage yourself inside of Islam, of course, of our religion. For this reason, we are very pleased and honored to introduce our guest, starting from Dr. Mohammed Belghiti. You're welcome. And today, I think our subject is purely,
I really like the topic of today. Hopefully, we will clarify about it to our audience, wherever they are, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thanks a lot, Dr. Mohammed Belghiti. As well, we got our guest here, Professor Rashid Mimouni, and we, as sociologists, we know you worked a lot on that subject or in this subject, especially with your students.
Yeah, definitely. There are intellectual aspects of religiosity, philosophical, psychological, and today it's a sensible issue with the return of religiosity in other aspects of different spectrum.
Okay. Well, of course, my left, I've got Professor Sahel Malika to talk. Of course, she has to talk about religiousness and religiosity and how can we manage ourselves on that side of religion.
Indeed, it is a very important issue in our daily life.
Of course, talking about religiosity, we need to distinguish between religiosity as a divine status, كوضع إلهي, and religiosity as a way of ما يسمى بالتدين, as a way of managing yourself, as I said, having a comportment of real religiousness, which is التدين, and we all know every one of us was born كما يقال على الفطرة. Starting from that, what can we say about the difference or distinctions between religiosity, which is التدين, and religion? I mean, talking about not philosophic side, but real, because we are in real life, real meaning of the two and real distinctions of these two. I will start from Dr. Belghiti, of course, because you've got diversity to talk about.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful, peace and blessings upon our beloved Prophet and his family and companions. Well, once again, I'm very pleased to be one of the guests of this session with our dear professors and with you, Brother Samir. Talking about this issue of religiousness, maybe I prefer to use the word religiousness more than religiosity. I'm so sorry. Religiousness here is a continuity of our previous topics, because I think we have started to define some concepts confused by people, like success, failure, religiousness, work, etc. So religiousness is to be convinced, by choosing choosing a method, a way of life. Means to be religious is to follow religion. For us, of course, we are Muslims, especially in Algeria, in North Africa. We have our own religion and we have our own worldview. Islam provides a worldview with complete aspects of life, with a set of a comprehensive view towards this universe, towards the role of a human being on the earth, right? So to be religious or religiousness means to follow the teachings according to this worldview, the Islamic worldview. I think this is maybe what I can say in the beginning. Maybe we will elaborate more later after our dear professors.
To make distinctions between the religiosity and religion, I do believe religiosity is when you follow the standards and the principle of religion. As I used to say, if we want to talk about religion, for example, the old religion has before the same ideas, same lines. What is forbidden in this religion is forbidden for our religion. But once people on that time, they just derived from the.
I do believe that religion is an issue prescribed by God, completing His grace on His servants, specifying the rules and the fundamentals, something that is enriching the human being in terms of behavior and culture. Religiousness is the commitment to the fundamentals and, let's say, to the Sharia provisions in words and deeds to improve the human behavior.
Well, I said
when we say, for example, he is a religious person, right? That shows a kind of piety and righteousness in this person, right?
But excuse me,
Yes,
every
please.
Muslim
Should
is said to be religious.
Yes.
But the problem is with the practical use of the fundamentals. That is, how can we judge that this person is religious or not? It is to see if his understanding of his religion is, let's say, comprehensive and not partial, if he has a solid understanding of all the fundamentals and the rules.
And he's carrying all the
and
standards of the principle what we talk about.
Yes, and the practical use of all these rules in his daily life.
Let's see.
Our reference,
let's see
the Holy Quran.
Yeah.
When we read in the Holy Quran, we find out that Al-Quran gives us a definition of religiousness in the verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون. If we want to translate the meaning in English, it means that righteousness or religiousness doesn't mean to face the east of the west or the west in your prayers. It means more than that. It has a wider meaning, which includes all these kinds of amana billah, believe, right? Well, your pillars of belief in Islam. Wa aqam as-salah, performs his prayers.
I mean, this is what we said, to follow and to carry on out all the principle and standards. You see, at the end, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, and this is real people who are, I mean, who believe and who are religious, yes.
Those who are truthful, صدقوا, أولئك الذين صدقوا, أولئك هم المتقون. They are pious people or righteous people. If they apply their religion, taking in consideration all these performances and these duties, right? Performing prayers and giving charity and fighting against the enemies in the sacred war to free their countries or to liberate their people, for example. So these all includes, that means here righteousness or religiousness can include all your fields of life, wherever you are. Because today, people, where is our weakness? Our weakness is in this. When we have understood, we think that religiousness is only inside the mosque. It doesn't come to the market. It doesn't come to be religious in your office, to be religious in the factory.
Let's see now.
This is a partial understanding, and this is wrong indeed.
If we, I think, I just want to ask questions to Professor Mimouni, of course, because he's a sociologist here between us.
Yes.
If we try to compare between the religiousness or religiosity in Islam and the religiousness or religiosity on the other religion, I do believe the other religions has got the same pillars before.
Values.
I'm always talking about long time ago, before this religion, before the ayah comes, إن الدين عند الله الإسلام وما يبتغي غير الإسلام دينا فلن يقبل منه. Before it was some religion, the other prophets, of course. Did we had? Does this religion have the same? I mean, same
Vision.
way.
Perception.
If I want to say same way, which
same
is
understanding.
même point.
Wait.
Yeah. First question you said about difference between religion and religiosity. بين الدين والتدين. Okay. Right. Religion, if we define it, it's a set of organized beliefs, standards, and practices. يعني عقائد مثل the Professor Belghit mentioned before. For example, in Islam we have beliefs. إيمان بالله واليوم الآخر والإيمان الملائكة إلى آخره. This is a set of beliefs.
Yes.
Practices, there are duties which are related with practices, الشعائر, الدينية, rituals. And there are practices in our relations with others. They are mentioned, Professor Sahel mentioned, for example, law, sharia, إلى غير ذلك. This is then religions. We have to say that religions has accompanied man since the beginning of humanity. They made archaeological findings. They found that in the mortuary or in the funerary crypts, they found that there were some sort of elements that showed they would believe 10,000 years ago that they were believing something. They believed they're not even the primitive, what they are calling the primitive man, had a sense of religiosity. About religiosity. Religiosity, it's twofold. Religiosity, twofold. The religiosity we can find which is related with this particular religion. For example, with Islam, I have got a religiosity that is the person who is the more acquainted, the more following, featuring these elements of Islam, maybe in my belief, in my relations, in my practices, on something. The other thing is religiosity is about the individual, because it belongs to a group, I mean a group, but the individual, as an individual, religiosity, and now I come maybe to the ontological existence of man. Man has got, religiosity is related with fitra, with the innate, with the nature of man. And really, this is, you find it in religiosity that is, it has a sentiment of the divine, of the absolute. This is ingrained in man, and the only creature that has this sentiment. Religion is capturing this and organizing it. Maybe we believe in it or not. Alors, هنايا I would bring what said Muhammad Abdullah Draz, man at the discovery of God. les hommes à la découverte de Dieu. هو عالم كبير أزهري ولكن but he went also, he was جامعة الأزهر, but also he went to La Sorbonne in France and he studied religion in his doctorate, rahimahullah. What he says about maybe religion, there are two problems when he's relying upon, because the idea of thinking about religion, reflecting about religion in a non-religious way, I mean in an academic way, started in the 17th century with the philosophers and with other psychologists, sociologists. Well, I'm not going to detail on this. I just take some of what he's summary. It is first, what is the idea? The thinkers started to think about the idea of God when it comes, because there are manifold aspects of God. Genesis of the idea of God. He said, historically, they were trying to find what is the first religion. Durkheim, for example, he said the first religion is totemism. Yani totem, ibadat totem. There are psychological factors which are make this idea of God, of the religion, of worshipping the nature. What is the God? Its aspect is emerging in the consciousness of man. How? Things are religious, and there are different type of explanations. Concerning the different type of explanations, are they progress? Are they the outcome of man's thought or divagation, of utopia? He say, or is it? There are many differences. The last one is, it is a revelation, wahy min Allah. That there's thing. What are the main? I would conclude by this. What the main ideas or main theories about religion, on religiosity? Max Muller, مثلا, he says he has got natural explanation. It's the religiosity comes from the wonders of nature and the fear from nature. خوف من الطبيعة. براكين, الزلازل, يعني different volcano and the other
natural catastrophes.
Natural, that's it, you said. Alors, the other one are saying that is coming from the psychological evolution. That means dreams and other things are psychological factors. Even philosophers. For example, philosophers right from the Greek philosophers, right to Hegel, who said religion is, man is a religious being. Aristotle said something, it's social, but he is also a religious being. Kant, specialist of the philosophy of morality, he's saying this is the law of morality includes the religion, because religions are setting the norms for the right and good and bad and something like that. And then there is a theory of revelation. Religion comes from an outside origin. That is God or something, the unknown. Alors, which we considering the religiosity, but now we have to say that religiosity is also evolving according to man's living through phases. Maybe religiosity, when it starts when they are youth, when you are a youth, a young person, it's very strong, but it is not controlled by the person. He might go astray by groups, who might make him go astray parce que religiosity is captured by ideological groups. There are tendencies who are going to cap this religion and may make this religiosity go astray. According to the age schedule, when you may mental on the, when you go to the religiousness, when you are near to the death, you may return to a form of religiosity because you are more conscious that the finitude of man. You see? Then we have to deal with this, and the religion has to deal with this religiosity, and it has to perform in order to adapt and to create a well-balanced person. I
think religiosity is very strong. It's very strong phenomena over words, if we can say that. Because if we will talk about the, you mentioned ontology. When we talk about ontology science, we have to relate that or link that to the other science. For example, when we talk about someone who gets to suicide, for example, we always say, you know, it is not because of his condition of life, but it is because he's got
psychological disequilibrium.
Like we say, a gap on the religiosity or religiousness.
Spiritual life.
I mean, thanks a lot. It is spiritual. When we've got that suicide, and this is what takes me to talk about the history of religiosity. When we go to the age, as you said, the long time age or period or era, we found that people think they are religious, and they made some things like, you know, they get to kill themselves for nothing, and they do some things for nothing, and they think that it is kind of religious. If we want to
I think, Brother Samir, if you don't mind, if we mean by religiosity to embrace certain beliefs, right, and to believe in a religion, right, yes, of course we know that to be religious in this concept is natural in a human life. That means during history, as Bertrand Russell mentioned, to be that we have, as he said, we have studied civilizations, human civilization, and we found civilizations without factories and without schools and without universities, but we have never found a civilization without religion. Of course, he means here that without beliefs, without a kind of beliefs to refer to, right? Of course, this is natural. Islam calls it al-fitra. فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله ذلك الدين القيم. Regarding Islam, Islamic beliefs. When we choose a religion, there are criteria to choose a religion, right? Is it compatible with scientific vision, compatible with modern science or not? Is it reasonable? Is it something which can be accepted by human reason? Because there is a compatibility between God's religion and reason and human reasoning, right? There is no contradiction, right? لا يوجد تعارض بين العقل والنقل, as Ibn Taymiyyah wrote his book. Yes, critical mind. Sure, sure, right? So if we mean by religiosity this kind of things as a beliefs, of course, right? There is no period in history where people did not worship anything. Now, this thing is true or false, is right or wrong, that is another issue.
Now here you make me think about Abu Dharr al-Ghaffari radiyallahu anhu.
Yes.
You know, the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam always laughed at his story, how he managed to become Muslim. And
how
this
he
man,
discovered
how
Islam.
Yes, he asked him, how did you come to become Muslim? He said that I am used in my village to worship a god that all the villagers worshipped. One day I went and gave milk to this god, put the milk, then I went, accidentally I turned, then I saw that the dog was taking his milk. So I went home, I told my mom that what is this god that even the dog can
cannot
eat
defend
his
himself.
food and can defend himself. So he started asking himself questions, and he discovered that all what the others worshipped was wrong, was not really a god. So I can tell you that in a simple way, to be religious is just to be sane and obeying the commands of God in such a way that you enrich the human nature by your good behavior.
Yes, and I think now our issue should be religiousness in the sense of the things we are facing
Nowadays.
daily,
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yes.
We are facing a wrong interpretation of religion when people come to apply the Islamic teachings,
Yeah.
the teachings of our religion. We are facing this. This is a big issue now.
Very
Why?
important.
Because if we talk about religiousness, we will find that there are three types of religiousness. There are people who apply their religion in a right way, yes, in a good interpretation. But in the same time, there are people who apply what some scholars, some researchers call an incomplete religiousness.
A distorted way.
There is a distorted way, maybe what we call the third one is a false religiousness, where people misuse.
That isn't a false religiousness. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No, a false religiousness
To be religious.
where people apply purposely or show off that they are religious.
Well,
but
excuse me,
actually-
doctor. This category is a category of people that just take a bit from the religion, and that is partial understanding of a religion, and make of it just the whole. That is, they magnify and let's say, exaggerate and saying that this is a religion. No, instead of being comprehensive.
This is one category of
Yes.
them. Maybe
I
our
agree with
main
you,
issue, we should maybe elaborate more, is the second one, which is the incomplete religiousness, where people are sincere, honest. They think that they are religious,
Whereas
but
they
actually,
aren't.
whereas they are
Far
not.
from.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Here,
we can say there's two. I don't know if you Professor Mimoun agree with me about the when we talk about
The teaching, I
religiousness
think.
or religiosity,
religiousness.
we need to talk about the positive and the negative.
Negative, the failure to be
I mean,
religious.
some people, I can't say some people, but I will say
A lot of.
these people are not living on their own, and these people are not just having natures. These people has got the conditioned life, some conditioned life, which is very bad. For example, this is their ideology, the movement where they live, the environment.
Excuse
all
me.
that has its impact.
Yeah,
I don't know if you.
excuse me, the problem here has to do with the teaching. That is, we haven't to blame the youth, but rather to blame those teaching religion to these youth. That is, instead of showing them the nice image of Islam, for example, as a religion, they just burden, they just exhaust them, they just give an ugly image, an ugly picture that lead these people to escape far away. And these people are required.
You see, but when we talk about when you said the youth people and the teaching how to teach the youth, if it goes to the verse that you said, فطرة الله التي فطر, the insect of the insect. I mean, the people are born with the insect of
naturally. They have been provided
predisposition
with an orientation.
But now, even the young people,
belief.
if I said to someone, or if I say to any youth, I will say to him some things which is wrong. which is very wrong. He can, I think, I'm not sure, but 100% he knows it is wrong, but he's still doing it. Even if I said to him, I don't know if you get my...
Yeah, but I think we didn't probe too much into the religiosity as the interface of application of religion. Religion, Professor Belghith mentioned something which is about ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب. Okay, and he set a lot of elements which is piety. What is piety? Pious person.
Guiding lines.
Guiding lines. Yeah.
Just a minute. In one verse, he said ليس البر من
أن تولوا وجوهكم
قبل المشرق.
ولكن البر من اتقى.
من اتقى. Okay.
This اتقى can resume
Yes.
all the...
This is religiousness.
But
اتقى.
religiousness is start آمن بالله ولكن من آمن بالله on first is the beliefs. And then he comes to the actions. Let's say what is. First it's a relation with God. It's a relation with God. Okay, this is stated in the book, but it is a dynamic action.
Execution.
We are believing the relation with God. At that time, people who are believing in God, and we have to say that Islam is the pure monotheism that cannot be overcome as monotheism, التوحيد يعني. This relation, spiritual relation between God, but in the 21st century now, we have very important there are very important arguments or proofs that God is the supreme being and has created the world. At the time, we had an imaginary conception. We thought that the Shams or stars, and they were just they are very low, they are very near to man. Now we have to prove the extraordinary that there are millions of stars. That means more than human beings. Science is going with us to show now even some atheists are returning to the religions. There is a supreme being whose qualities that I mentioned, الأسماء الله الحسنى أنه الخالق لا, we cannot address, we cannot know them. It's so, yeah, this means that our relation to God is deeper than maybe the other. And it is a psychological. We have then about the practices, religious practices, there are differences between man, between different persons, according to many factors.
Professor, I do believe that the problem has to do with people-to-people relationship. The problem is not with God.
Yeah,
the Holy Book is clear.
I want to start with the first, our relation with God. حتى الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول بالإيمان يطلع ويحبط. He's going up and down. According to the setting, we can increase in our religiosity. I remember this as a small, and this is in our popular saying in Algeria, or maybe in other countries. The old woman would believe stronger with no arguments, but it is interesting. يقول لك ميمونة تعرف ربي وربي تعرف ميمونة. Not ميمونة. ميمونة تعرف ربي. ميمونة is an old person.
Yes.
One of the wives of the Prophet
Yes.
is Maymuna أيضا. Maymuna knows God and knows God. She might not know very things.
This is by intention when we talk
By
about the
intention
intention of people.
but it's stronger than maybe our beliefs. You see, and there are the belief of the scientists.
I think we've got another problem, which is...
No.
We've got another problem.
No, I just
Ignorance
say
is doing
No,
harm.
I think we've got...
but the better person or the more pious is the more more knowledge about Islam. The second aspect, if we say about spirituality, and there are people who are improving or deepening their spirituality, and they go to tasawwuf, mysticism. And mysticism is, we have it started with أهل الصفة في وقت المدينة المنورة, and there were schools of mysticism are deepening this relation with God, purifying aspects of a religion. And I would mention a word. Islam is a dynamic process. I think about when I read a very important book of Jean-Paul Charnet, Sociology of Islam, la sociologie de l'islam. He's speaking about something. He's speaking that Islam is a continuous process of purification of man and society. That means you start with a stage which is declining in the degree of adhering to it as a person.
By God.
And we are starting through salat, through good actions, through remembrance, through dua, imploration of God, we are. And he speaks about, in a modern term, he says it's a recharge of energy. Because all individuals, all society are going to the physical law of entropy. Yani declining. And it is
A recycling.
a recycling according to him. And it is it's not harsh. It is starting to reform person, to tawbah, to kabada, cycling.
Improve behaviors.
Improve behavior. The second aspect, and I don't want to monopolize the word, is about the actions. Because everybody has got his capacity. For example, a rich people who give almonds. He's not maybe a very literate person, but he has got, according to each person, he's going to express his way of religiosity that Allah Ta'ala has opened him this way to him.
I think we need to talk about the dimensions of religiosity.
That's it,
and all people talk about it, because the dimension of religiosity, I think there's three of them, which is the behavioral, and cognitive, which is knowledge, and affective, which is the when you are affective or you are affected by the environment that you live. I do know all the sociologists. You mentioned Durkheim, and when we try to take all that sociologists we know, they all, I mean, they all has a book about the religion, and they start from them. But all that book didn't make this a real sense of religiosity. Because, for example, the book of Durkheim is mentioned by the primitive forms of religion. He was talking about totem, he was talking about the plants and animals.
But I do believe that
and they said this the totem religion start to be increase on the summertime, on the winter time, and get down on the summertime. It doesn't make sense.
Brother.
The second, no, I just want to go to somewhat. I just want to go to some.
I don't agree with you.
No,
honestly.
No, I'm not talking about it to be. I'm not talking about to be great. I'm talking about the issue. Just a minute.
Excuse me.
No, I just want to show you that religiosity, religiousness of our Islam. It is the most important and interesting in our life today and before. For this reason, I gave the Max Weber, for example. He was talking about Protestant, and at the end of, he said, no one can understand societies without understanding the religions of these societies. What I want to say at the end, that when we talk about the dimensions of religiosity as behave and cognitive, which is knowledge and affective, we need
Brother,
to be religious by this way.
Either I'm confused, or maybe...
No, you aren't. I agree with you, doctor. No,
I think you are confused.
You aren't.
Either I'm confused, or I don't get
the point.
The point of the topic. Right?
No,
because here we want to talk about problems we are facing in our
daily
society,
life. Yes.
in our daily society,
daily life, yeah.
in our daily life.
Yes.
Where we are facing
serious problems.
Where Muslims, where we see a contradictory behavior in our society as a Muslims. Now, maybe if we need a philosophical approach to this topic, talking about Durkheim and Freud and Max Weber, and this is another point, or another topic, another question, right? But we are facing problems where people are misinterpreting their religion.
That's it.
There is a misinterpretation in our religion. That's why you see now where a Muslim
is not reflecting
really his teachings, his values.
That's it.
The values he believes in.
That's it.
Right? This is the main
Perfectly
issue
right,
now. This is the main issue now. We see a Muslim who lies.
Yes.
We see a Muslim who cheats.
Yes.
Who see a Muslim who argues even about some knowledge which is known by elementary students of Islam.
Yes.
Right? Maybe he will argue with you about very clear things, very simple things,
yes.
Islamic
and this is
teachings.
Wrong.
This is very serious issue.
Yes.
Right? Where you see a Muslim who behaves oppositely in
argument
his office.
Argument is way of life.
Yes, this is
when you argue with someone about something,
that means there is a misinterpretation of our religion. Then there is a lack of education.
Excuse me.
Main issue.
Excuse me. He has mentioned this compassion. Yes, the real Muslim is accepting the other's point of view, whereas the bad, that is between inverted commas, is refusing, is just taking a partial understanding, whereas this is rejected by Islam.
Yeah, of course.
You need to have a deep understanding, a comprehensive understanding, and not a superficial and not a partial. Okay, partials are very important to be taken into account, but the whole, the complete, has to be given its due.
Well, even if I just want to say something.
The verse I have mentioned, Brother Samir,
I don't want
the
to
verse of
forget
Surah Al-Baqarah I have mentioned, whereas the Holy Quran gives us the
concrete
definition
picture
of righteousness and religiousness. As Professor Mimouni reminded me, thank you very much, you will see the verse containing all the aspects of religiousness. Beliefs, amana billah wal yawm, the pillars of Islamic beliefs. 2, worship, aqam as-salat. Then, wa'at az-zakat,
the practical use.
The financial
assistance
in Islam. That means social assistance.
Yes, yes.
3, the strength of the nation.
Unifying.
Then the moral behavior.
Strength.
والموفون بعهدهم, people who keep their promises.
Faithful people.
Yes, faithful people.
Yes.
Right. You will see that this verse has covered all the aspects of human life. Whereas you see today a Muslim who thinks that religion is only between the walls of the mosque.
No.
Religion doesn't need to interfere in your daily life, in your marriage, in your business, in your work.
Yes, it's the opposite.
This is what we need to discuss to correct to our audience, to our people.
But I think these people find some support from the other people. I mean, from the I'm not going to say.
Excuse me.
But if the people has the meaning of religiosity on just that what you said. We've got a state. The state has to make. I mean.
Excuse me.
Some limits for
some people do believe themselves as being religious, whereas they are unfair people. They are not good to their own families. They are not good to their own parents. They do not fulfill their duties towards their children, or towards their family, or towards their, let's say, brothers in Islam or whatever. And they do believe they are okay. No, I'm sorry. This
And
is
there's
not-
the other part.
This has nothing to
I
do
mean,
with
there's the
religion.
other part who said to you,
Yes.
this is between me
And God.
and my God.
No,
This
no,
is
no.
this is a wrong understanding.
This
I
is
mean,
a
this is-
distorted
It's
understanding.
an extreme.
Yes.
We didn't give so much.
Yeah, I think that about this small polemics about the social scientists and philosophers on the reality, I think you both view are correct. We have to gather them about it. Why? Because when we are speaking about Durkheim, for example, he speaks religion has a role of social integration of individuals.
'Cause
It integrates a family. The second thing, that means it integrates people in their group, community, set of religion.
As solidarity and
The
mechanism
second-
way.
Voilà, mechanism way. The second is a moral regulation.
Moral.
الضبط الأخلاقي.
Yes.
Ethical,
Moral
yeah.
أخلاقي means that he is going upright with the moral standards of the religion, the group religion, or the ummah's religion, or something like that. What is important is not we complain why people complain that people are not applying this. This is, as I said with Chinese, is a returning, it's a recharge of energy. Why people? This is, we need to analyze. We are not just complaining, we have to analyze it. When he said about lack of integration, Durkheim, he's speaking about that individualism, consumerism,
Selfishness.
the reduction of the family ties, which you, Professor, you mentioned.
Yes.
Then we are analyzing them. It's not an individual
No.
sequence, not an individual sequence.
no.
It's more important. Why at the time of the Prophet, of the Sahaba,
Salatu
they were
wassalam.
more adequate. Our parents, they were afraid of da'wat al-shar,
Yes.
the arguments of... Now, if they are less, that they are social, psychological, and other processes that made then people are not acquainted. Maybe they have problem of of wealth when they are making the distribution of the inheritance. There are other things. I would say another thing. It's why we have to analyze in each situation what the institutions of education at the family level, at the school level is not adapted to the needs of the youth today. The second thing is about when we are speaking about suicide, for example. Durkheim made about suicide. He mentioned two institutions that prevents suicide. Religion, he's no religious. ليس متدين Durkheim. ولكن
His father was religious.
He
His
thought
father.
about religion is preventing from suicide because it integrates people. And the second in the family. Now there is the decline of religion in its grip upon society. Why? In Europe, maybe it's the return to things. But we find that on family, why in a Muslim society there is suicide? Because maybe there is, he's explaining by the society's disequilibrium and balanced society. Because society is creating tensions on individuals, stresses on contradictions, on the double language. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. They are different, that makes people, youth, they are different people who commit suicide and they're on the belief that it's not, but they are conducted to suicide. Then we have to analyze it and not to have a moral stand on to say. It's very important, but we cannot, the moral stand cannot be very important, imposing if we don't know the causes. And this is the responsibility of parents, of the state apparatus, education level, to go deep in the causes and to have this way of giving solutions to the society's illness. Okay? Departing from
you just remind
we saw to
you
the
just-
university. Everybody knows that we have not to cheat, to make plagiat, to make plagiarism, but you students today use it. Professors use it. Why? Because they are possibility to do it, they have to reach to a social situation, and the moral standard is declining.
You just remind me of the hadith, the verse of one of the hadith. He said their companion were they said, radiallahu anhum, why when we are with you we're completely, I mean, right, and but when we go out we just we will be different. لما نكون معك نكون في ولما نخرج this is قول حنظلة رضي الله عنه. This is the same things if we want to compare it with today. What we need a balance between what we believe on and what we do.
I think the problem has to do with the teaching of religion itself. Here is the origin of the problems. The teaching of religion.
But the things that you said, the people are Muslim and they have the way of religious, but they lie. And this is when we go to
a real Muslim doesn't.
I will give you example. We don't need to teach that one.
System of education.
This is teaching.
How to help
you didn't get what I want to say.
To apply.
Would you clarify?
What want to clear it for you? Lying is forbidden in all religion.
Yeah.
All religions.
Yeah.
These things is standard. We don't need to teach them and say to them, Allah Azza wa Jalla say, أن تكونوا صادقين ولا
You have to be truthful.
Don't lie. Because this is one of the standards of Islam. We don't need to teach them. People know. What we need to teach some other ways of life.
Excuse me, no.
Do you need to teach someone don't lie? And
brother, we are not talking. We are not talking only about teaching how to avoid to lie. No.
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
I do believe that absence of justice is provocative. As simple as this. As simple as.
Forget everything.
I would add something. When there is a society which is imbalanced, people are ready to increase their religiosity, tadayyun, their rewards, God's bounties. They want to get into the association of good actions. Allah Ta'ala is speaking about we have to prevent bad actions and do good deeds. They want to make, but sometimes because they are they have got a lot accumulation of desire to make good actions. Maybe the social situation doesn't allow this, but at local level, national level, everyone in his situation is aspiring to make good actions, good deeds, and to prevent bad things.
I've got last questions.
Yeah.
Duty of whom or of who do you think can control the teaching of religiosity, of teaching of Islam in general?
Excuse me.
In Algeria, for example.
Excuse me. I do believe that the first thing to teach is to teach people the sweetness to be proud to be Muslim. This is very important. That is, you are in the universe of God and you dare not to be obedient. This in itself is something revealing kind of disequilibrium within the person. So teaching people the rightness of religiousness is a duty, first of all, of parents at home, then after that the school, and later on the mosque. We can't neglect the role of the mosque in all these.
As I think the show is going to end up because I'm always having some warning.
Yeah, well,
I will end up that with you.
Yeah, I would say that now there are many risks for youth to the religiosity. Mankind is asking for new spirituality. I've got the example. Now, the power of now, a guide to spiritual enlightenment. There are new sects. There are new type of religiosity, a new age religiosity, which is not related often with God. But the aspiration to reality, to spirituality is still together. Then there are sects which are destructive, demoniac state, sects, and فرق ضالة. We have then, when you are speaking about who is in charge, state is in charge, but we cannot end all the ideas. We have to control with education, with things like that. The elite, religious elite, intellectual elite, has to think about. We are not reducing ideas. We are getting into a dialogue of civilization and ideas. But Islam is outstanding, and we do not know this.
If we accomplish our role in teaching Islam to this generation, right, they will be proud to be Muslims, first of all. Second, they will not be affected by any kind of sects or philosophies. If I tell them that Durkheim was religious, or his father, right, they will not. I think I don't need to give a credibility to Durkheim or whosoever, Jean-Paul Sartre or Albert Camus or so, whoever.
No, what we want
when I teach Islam, I mean, in his proper way, right? When I teach my generation, this new generation, what does it mean to be religious, to be righteous, and to be pious? What does it mean according to their Islam they have chosen, right? They will be able to choose with conviction, right, and to follow with conviction their values and their Islamic way of life. Because if I teach this generation that Islam is a way of life, right, is a way of life, and Islam, we say, an Islamic worldview, a vision, right, it will be easier for them to follow the right.
Excuse me, just teach them that Islam is to make them happy and not a burden.
No, we gave the example of Durkheim to show that we are very honored to be Muslim, and we are very proud to be Muslim.
Certainly.
When we see all this kind of people, all this kind of religions behind, we can say we are very honored to be Muslim, very proud of it. I will ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide us to the right way of Islam. And of course, the subject is very wide, and the subject very interesting and important. I will say for next time. We will see you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.